Mr. Dressel?
Here.
Ms. Hahn? Here. Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Lellis?
Here.
Mr. Paul?
Here.
Mr. Villamagna?
Here.
All members of council are here and accounted. Mrs. Hahn.
I move that the minutes of December 22nd, 2015 be accepted as written.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and second that the minutes of December 22nd, 2015 be accepted as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Delaretto?
Aye.
Mr. Dressel?
Aye.
Ms. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Lellis?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
So moved, minutes accepted. Petitions and communications, Madam Clerk.
Yes, I have a notice to legislative authority from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control regarding the new application for a liquor license for the Sumo Hibachi and Sushi Inc. Please complete and return this form to the Division of Liquor Control whether or not there is a request for a hearing. Refer to this number in all inquiries, BNEW 869-3519. You must mark one of the following. We request a hearing on the advisability of issuing the permit and request that the hearing be held in our county seat in Columbus, or we do not request a hearing. And sign below and mark the appropriate box indicating United States.
Mr. Villamagna.
I'd like to make a motion. I'll make a motion that the communication be received, filed, made part of the minutes, and referred to the law director, the police chief, the city manager, the mayor, and the ward councilman, which is myself. Thank you.
It's been regularly moved and second that the communication be received, filed, made part of minutes, referred to the city manager, the police chief, the mayor, and the ward councilman and hall director. Roll call.
Mr. Delaretto?
Aye.
Mr. Dressel?
Aye.
Ms. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Lellis?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
So moved, communications accepted. Other communications and petitions, Madam Clerk.
None this evening.
We will now move into the ordinances and resolutions. I do want to point out that on the tentative agenda for tonight's meeting, there was listed ordinance number 2015-121, which is tabled. That will continue to stay on the table. We will have a report between Chuck Murphy, our water superintendent, and also Michael, our engineer, on how we're going to proceed with that particular piece of legislation. We will now move into ordinance number 2015-115 for its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-115, an ordinance authorizing and directing the approval of expenditures without a purchase order over $3,000 pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.41.
You heard the second reading of ordinance number 2015-115. The third and final reading will be January 19, 2016. Before we move on, I neglected to take care of one piece of, really two pieces of business this evening. So let me stop now and first of all welcome two new members of council, our councilwoman at large, Kimberly Hans, and also our third ward councilman, John Lellis, to tonight's council meeting. Also, I have presented to the members of council, we've been building up consensus over the last couple of weeks of committee assignments. I have distributed to all members of council committee assignments for the 10 standing committees: finance, service, safety, health, planning, public utilities, building and grounds, park and recreation, transportation, economic development, and crime. As I indicated to the members of council, I tried to divide that and divide it as properly as possible, taking into consideration the seniority of all members of council. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to accept the recommendations for the council standing committees.
So be it. Motion to accept the recommendations for
Second.
It's been recommended in the second that the committees presented, and we will have copies for the public, be accepted. Roll call.
Mr. Delaretto?
Aye.
Mr. Dressel?
Aye.
Ms. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Lellis?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villamagna?
Aye.
So moved, motion accepted, and I want to thank the members of council for accepting and the recommendations from the office And the last part of housekeeping, if you have a cell phone, please turn it off or put it in a vibrating position. With that, we will continue on with the ordinances and resolutions before City Council this evening. And as I indicated, 2015-121, under reports, we will have a report from the appropriate department. So we will now move on to ordinance number 2015-122 by the Service Committee. Mr. Dioretto, Mr. Paul. For the second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-122, an ordinance authorizing and designating the city manager as the local official with the authority to execute the project known as the City of Steubenville Downtown Sign Upgrade, City Project number 2015-127, and complete all necessary functions that may be required to complete said project, including but not limited to engineering design services, construction administration inspection services, bidding services, advertising for bids for construction, any rebidding that may be required, entering into a contract with the lowest and most qualified bidder and authorizing payment therefor.
Here the second reading of ordinance number 2015-122. The third and final reading will be held on January 19th. If adopted, the effective date of the ordinance will be February 22nd. Ordinance number 2015-123 by the Safety and Health Committee for its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-123, an ordinance adopting the City of Steubenville's Emergency Operations Plan.
We heard the second reading of ordinance number 2015-123. The third and final reading will be scheduled 2 weeks hence on January 19th. If adopted, the effective date will be February 22nd. Ordinance number 2015-124 by the Planning Committee. Mr. Davis, Mr. Johnson, for its second reading.
Ordinance number 2015-124, an ordinance authorizing the sale of real estate owned by the City of Steubenville at the intersection of Sunset Boulevard and Garfield Avenue to Valley Community Federal Credit Union in the amount of $101.
I stated correctly, Mr. Davis will come off the sponsorship of that piece of legislation. You heard the second reading of ordinance number 2015-124. The third and final reading is scheduled for January 19th, 2016. If adopted, the effective date will be February 22nd. Ordinance number 2015-125 by the Planning Committee. Mr. Johnson.
Ordinance number 2015-125, an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager and urban projects director to advertise for proposals from consulting firms for professional services for the 2016 Central Business District Streetscape Project, authorizing the entering into a contract based on cost and qualifications and authorizing payment therefor.
Here is the second reading of ordinance number 2015-125. The third and final reading is scheduled 2 weeks hence on January 19th. If adopted, the effective date of the ordinance will be February 22nd. Ordinance number 2015-126 by the Finance Committee. Mr. Johnson.
Ordinance number 2015-126, an ordinance amending section 921.04 of the codified ordinances of the City of Steubenville.
You heard the second reading of ordinance number 2015-126. The third and final reading is scheduled 2 weeks hence on January 19th. If adopted, the effective date February 22nd. Ordinance number 2015-127 by the Finance Committee. Mr. Johnson.
Ordinance number 2015-127, an ordinance amending section 951.11A and B of the codified ordinances of the City of Steubenville.
You heard the second reading of ordinance number 2015-127. The third and final reading will be 2 weeks hence on January 19th. If adopted, the effective date of the ordinance is February 22nd. That will conclude the ordinances and resolutions before City Council this evening. We will now move into the review. We will now move into the report of committees, and we'll start off with Mr. Dioretto. And by the way, just for a point of clarification, beginning of the year on new terms, we start a new roll call, and it goes in alphabetical order. Mr. Dioretto.
Yes, Your Honor, I don't need that microphone. I have no report. However, after the meeting is adjourned, I would like to call an executive session, make a motion to have an executive session under revised code section number 121-22G1. The city council enter executive session following public forum to discuss personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Diaretta. Point of clarification, the meeting,
Members of seven members of council and the law director.
the executive session has to be called during the meeting, but you did say after public forum. There will be no adjournment of the meeting until after the executive session. With that clarification, there was a second. It's been regularly moved to second. The city council moved into the executive session with the law director following public forum. And I believe you said for personnel purposes. Roll call.
Mr. DiLoretto?
Aye.
Mr. Dressel? Aye. Ms. Hahn? Aye. Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Lellis?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Bellamagna?
Aye.
So moved. City council will move into the executive session following public forum. Anything further, Mr. Diaretta? Thank you, Mr. Diaretta. We'll move on to Mr. Dressel.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Dressel. Ms. Hahn? Thank you, Mrs. Harms. Mr. Johnson?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Lawless?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Lawless. Mr. Paul?
Yes, I would like to have a finance committee meeting. We want to do it next week. Also, I would like to call for which Mr. Villamag has been calling for the past 2 months, a workshop. I would like to get all the dates set, and but we need to go forward with this budget. I want to get this budget in line. We have 3 months, and I would like to do it sooner than later. I don't want to come at the end of in March and say we need an emergency. I want to have it done. I'm not big on emergencies, if anybody has ever realized that. And I want to get it done soon. I don't want it to be done hastily or we do something dumb. So I want to have the time. And Mike and I were speaking the other day, talked together, and we thought maybe a workshop. If we can get everybody involved, get dates. We want to do Saturday, Friday, whatever we want to do it. So we can all get together, sit down, have a little get together and talk about the budget, okay? But I do want to talk next week on finance. A committee meeting, what time we want to do, like about 6:30?
6:30.
6:30, yes. Thank you.
I know you have Mr.
I have more, but that's it. No, I'm kidding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. The clerk will facilitate the proper notices for our Finance Committee meeting scheduled for January 12th at 6:30 p.m. here at Council Chambers. We'll continue on with committee reports to Mr. Bellamagna.
Yes, Mayor. Under Economic Development, I attended the Port Authority meeting this morning, and from what I gathered in the meeting, there's a couple things that are coming our way that might be promising that they didn't release yet to the public, but there's a couple things on the plate up there. That's all I wanted to let you know.
And Steubenville? in the
Yeah.
city? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Bellamagna. That will conclude the report of committees from the members of council. We will now move into the report of the administrative officers, and we'll start off with our city manager, Mr. Bowler.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bowler. We'll move on to our law director, Mr. Rapella.
I have no report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Rapella. Once again, we'd like to thank the department heads for attending this evening. However, before we move into the miscellaneous reports, if I could call on between Chuck Murphy and Mike Nowak, our city engineer, concerning a ordinance waiving formal bidding requirements and directing the city manager to enter into a contract for the State Route 7 and Logan Street water line upgrade.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. Back on December 22nd, we tabled an ordinance, and I think I went over the following schedule to try to expedite this project. The week of January 4th, we will hold a pre-bid meeting with 4 contractors. We will request quotes by January 15th, and we will award a contract during the week of the 18th. And construction would be 4 to 5 weeks at an approximate cost of $160,000. We expedited that a little bit after the meeting on the 22nd. The 23rd, I got all the preliminary plans in their hands. We didn't have the specification book and all the plans ready, but I did send out to all the 4 contractors on the 23rd. I brought the contractors in for a pre-bid meeting on, I believe it was Wednesday the 30th. The addendum will go out tomorrow morning to the contractor. That'll be January the 6th. That's regarding questions and clarifications and revised bid forms. And bids will be due this Friday, I believe at 3 o'clock at my office. And then at that point in time, we'll run a bid tab, review the references, get an evaluation and a recommendation over to the city manager. And hopefully on next Tuesday, we'll have the ordinance ready to sunshine and possibly carry a special meeting to pass it down.
Yeah, next Tuesday. Sunshine.
Yeah, if we sunshine the...
I don't have the contractor's name yet, but we could, well, the ordinance could read, an ordinance waiving formal bidding requirements and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with the lowest, most qualified bidder for the State Route 7 and Logan Street water line upgrades. City project number 2015-119, authorizing payment therefore and declaring an emergency. And then once the contractor is realized, we could announce that next week.
You'll have these 3 quotes prepared for council for next Tuesday. And if anything, the clerk can notify if the ordinance needs the contractor's name in the ordinance through the media, which still would meet the requirements of such on the legislation.
We actually brought 4 contractors in last month, or on Thursday, so we should, hopefully we have 4 quotes. We're going for most of that. Thank you.
Any questions from the member? Mr. Johnson?
If we're going to vote next week, we get special phones.
Yes.
Make a motion to call a special meeting for next Tuesday.
Second.
It's been regularly moved and second that there'll be a special meeting along with our sunshine meeting next Tuesday, January 12th, 7:30, to consider an ordinance waiving formal bidding requirements and directing the city manager to enter into a contract with the lowest and most qualified bidder for the State Route 7 and Logan Street water line upgrade. I think everybody understands that we've been talking about this water loss and how it's really costing the city, so everything's appropriate. Roll call.
Mr. Deloretto?
Aye.
Mr. Dressel?
Aye.
Ms. Vaughn?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wallace?
Aye.
Mr. Paul?
Aye.
Mr. Villagna?
Aye.
So moved. There will be a special meeting next Tuesday on January 12th. Anything you want to add, Mr. Murphy? No. Very good. That will conclude the reports and miscellaneous reports. We will now move to public forum. Is there anyone wishing to speak to City Council on city business? Please come forward, state their name and address. If not, I will ask the council check poll.
My name is Patrick McLaughlin. I just want to speak a few minutes on behalf of the Nutcracker and Advent Market that is across the street. Am I allowed to do that? I'm a volunteer across the street, and for those of us who've never met Mark Nelson, I'm sure everybody has, what this has done for our city is amazing. It's brought people from so many different communities to Steubenville. The joy that this has brought, the families. What I tried to do was, when a family would come by, I would offer them, if they had any kind of camera device, that I would take their picture as a family. So when they left, they had a family memory. And this would happen at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. There's no more fear of Steubenville with this man and his family and all the employees from Nelson Arts and Gifts and all the volunteers. It's just amazing how so many people enjoyed themselves. We had a family from Columbus with no ties to this area, because I would always ask, are you from the area? They would, like, for instance, they'd say, we're from Columbus. I'd say, are you in visiting? And they would say, no, we just love Nutcrackers. I mean, I had people from Morgantown, Columbus, Mazo, every city you could think of, we had people visit our town. We should all be proud of what Mr. Nelson and his family have created. It's a blessing. And this is just going to grow more and more every year. And I think we all deserve to share a moment and thank Mark Nelson for what he's done for our community.
And I think we said time and time again our appreciation wonderful event for our community. And Mark definitely, and we told us, went way beyond volunteering and assisting the community. And we got to recognize the other players, Judy Bratton, Sherry Barilla at the board, all the sponsors that sponsored a nutcracker in our community. I just was speaking with Ricky Camarais from Downtown Bakery and how excited she is for the display in her window. It was, without a doubt, a great event. But I also want to thank you for volunteering your time, let alone across the street, many times walking up and down Market Street, and on 4th Street, and on Adams Street, picking up litter in the downtown area. So thank you for your volunteer work also in our community. Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Can I add one thing to what you said? Patrick, I'm glad you came tonight because I wanted to tell you this before, and I told you personally, but I want to tell you publicly. I see this guy at 8 o'clock in the morning. I see him at 10 o'clock, 11, midnight, picking up papers. He works security over there at the fort for those nutcrackers on his own without nobody saying anything to him. And it's people like you that make the wheel turn smooth. Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate what you did, and I'd like to give him a round.
With that, we will now move into an executive session, so I will ask the council chambers to be clear.